Welcome back. I love this story. The largest wealth transfer in history has begun. Welcome back. I love this story. The largest wealth transfer in history has begun. Welcome back. I love this story. The largest wealth transfer in history has begun.
Your true wealth is your time and freedom. Money is just a tool for trading your time. It's a container to store your economic energy until you're ready to deploy it. But the whole world has been turned away from real money and has been fooled into using currency. A deceitful imposter that is silently stealing your two most valuable assets, your time and your freedom. Welcome to the rabbit hole.
We are entering a period of financial crisis that is the greatest the world has ever known. The wealth transfer that will take place during this decade is the greatest wealth transfer in history. Wealth is never destroyed, it is merely transferred, and that means that on the opposite side of every crisis there is an opportunity. The great news is that all you have to do to turn this crisis into your great opportunity is to educate yourself. I believe that the best investment that you can make in your lifetime is your own education. Education on the history of money, education on finance, education on how the global economy works, education on how all of these guys, the central bankers, the stock market, how they can cheat you, how they can scam you. If you learn what is going on and how the financial world works, you can put yourself on the correct side of this wealth transfer. Winston Churchill once said that the further you look into the past, the further that you can see into the future. This program is all about creating your own crystal ball, being able to gaze into the future, being able to change this crisis, the greatest crisis in the history of mankind, into your great opportunity.
There was a guy named Larry Bates that wrote a book called The Great Economic Disorder back in the 90s. And there was a phrase that he said that wealth is never destroyed, it is merely transferred. And when I heard that, I went, wow, it's never destroyed, it's merely transferred. There's something coming up where all currencies could have a crisis at the same time. Therefore, this is going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in history. So if it's the greatest wealth transfer in history, it is therefore the greatest opportunity in the history of mankind.
Welcome back. I love this story. The largest wealth transfer in history has begun.
There was a guy named Larry Bates that wrote a book called The Great Economic Disorder back in the 90s. And there was a phrase that he said that wealth is never destroyed, it is merely transferred. And when I heard that, I went, wow, it's never destroyed, it's merely transferred. There's something coming up where all currencies could have a crisis at the same time. Therefore, this is going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in history. So if it's the greatest wealth transfer in history, it is therefore the greatest opportunity in the history of mankind. Think about the number of people in your city where the vast majority of their wealth is somehow connected with precious metals. I'm 100% invested in just physical precious metals. I used to have mining stocks and so on, and I do recommend mining stocks with your speculative capital, but you have to subscribe to a good newsletter. If you take a look at, and I'm taking a little side road here, if you take a look at the Barron's Gold Mining Index, the percent gains from 1971 to today versus gold, gold has outperformed the Barron's Gold Mining Index by 400%. And so if you want the big leverage that mining stocks can add, you need experts giving you guidance. I say if you can't hold it, you don't own it. The only leverage that I recommend is mining stocks. Stay away from ETFs, please. Stay away from leveraged accounts like margined trading accounts. You're going to get slaughtered on those. Numismatics, I think, are basically... I can see a scenario where in a deflation, people have to choose, do I let go of the house first or the coin collection? Coin collection. You get hundreds of thousands of coin collections hitting the market at the same time. All the numismatic value disappears. I got an email from a customer. He was a customer of mine several years ago, and gold was probably around $600 or $700 when I would talk with this guy on the phone, and I'd spend hours with him. And he took a sizable position in bullion, and he wanted to buy some numismatics, and I told him what I thought of him. He sent this document back to me, and he said, "You were right, I should have listened to you." And it had an accounting of what they cost him and what they are worth today. And he had spent, I think it's about $3.5 million on collector coins that have fallen to about $2.5, and gold has gone from $700 to $1,900 in the meantime. I think that this is a particular time in history that is unlike any other. You know, in Weimar Germany during the hyperinflation, there was a tremendous wealth transfer that went on. I've heard many times that an entire city block at the end of that hyperinflation could be purchased for just 25 ounces of gold, an entire city block of commercial property in downtown Berlin. If you were in Berlin, though, you could hold French francs, British pounds, US dollars, or gold. This time it's global. This time if the dollar the world's reserve currency has a problem, people around the world, I believe, are going to look at their currencies and go, oh my God, these are just pieces of paper with numbers on them too. And they're going to get rid of them and all try and buy gold at once. And I think you're going to see, I mean, this thing is going nuclear. It's going to be big. And it's going to be really bad for most people, so the wealth transfer is going to be on the order of like 1,000 people to 1. Think about how many people in your city have all their wealth tied up in gold and silver, and the percentage is not even 1/1000th of a percent yet. But that's going to change. It's going to change rather rapidly.